I was told, Brandon Sprague, I was told.
I'm trying to get corn
Rattlest cage.
popping again.
Get going. Here he goes. Here he
No,
goes.
No, I'm not taking the bait.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't take the bait. I was told they're turning a corner.
Okay.
I was told they're clicking.
Yeah.
They're finding their rhythm. Here they come. And now I think as of last night, are we extinguishing the flame? I'm going to go NFL eliminator Brandon Sprague circa 2023.
All time. I don't think it was 23. I think it was like 22.
Was it 22?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Maybe
we played
19.
NFL eliminator, and then we had the revive team. So hopefully there's not a revival that takes place because this will look bad. This will age poorly. Like warm milk in July.
I had Swag as a zombie.
You did have Swag as a zombie. That was the
such
thing.
a bad zombie.
He was a horrible zombie. The Mavs somehow won a game last night in San Antonio. They ended their skid with only like 7 active players. There's a video of them that went viral the other day of them warming up. I think they were in LA playing the Clippers, and the Clippers had their entire team out warming up, doing shooting, taking shots, layups, that kind of stuff. And the camera slowly pans over to the Mavs end of the floor, and there's like 5 guys out there. They got nobody. But they found a way to win last night, and the Blazers dropped their 4th in a row in what we knew was going to be a challenging stretch for them schedule-wise. First half was horrible. Made a little comeback in the third quarter. Like, all right, something there, and then ultimately too little too late, and Steph made too many threes. And the gap now with 16 games remaining in the NBA regular season, the gap to get the 10 seed is now 5 games between you and Dallas.
They're also firing they're chanting "Fire Nico" at now their Dallas soccer games.
They are.
Like the whole stadium.
The whole stadium.
Yeah. Look, also the Lakers lost. Luka was by himself with no Braun. They lose to the Nets. This is just such bad luck. And also not the right way to run an organization. Will they make the 10 seed? Does it matter? Do we honestly? Does it
This
matter?
is more of a
seed?
it's more of a Blazer question.
The Blazers
are the
not
Blazers
making the
done?
10 seed.
Yeah, it's last night. Are we done with
Yes,
that? It's all over.
It's done.
Okay.
And now we're going to look at this, and we're going to start getting into the draft territory and go.
We are.
Hey, we gave ourselves a 3% chance in the year that everybody tells you want to be in the top 4.
We get to keep our first round pick though, at least.
Hey, but those 11 games out of 12, guys, that really showed something for future years of development, right?
I think having a great game from Klingon is fantastic.
Yes,
having
it is.
Tumani have a great season, and now can he make the leap offensively? It's good.
Danny Avdija was really good last night.
Yes, Denny Avdija has had a good year, and I don't know if you've known this. You know his contract's really good.
It's an affordable contract.
My God, we've all talked about this 80,000 times. It's a good contract, okay? I don't want to act like he's the third piece on a title team. He's a good player.
He's a really good player who's capable of nights like this, and then he'll disappear for a week, and you won't hear much from him, and then he'll pop up again with another game like this. He did this against Cleveland, didn't hear much, then he got banged up, he was out of the lineup, and then there he was again last night with 34 and 16.
I thought Scoot had really good moments last night.
I did too.
His and one almost dunk, but it ended up going in. I was jumping out of my bed for that play. There are good things to point to. But now that playoff has slid out of your grasp, because I don't think they have a heater in them, they're playing too many good teams. You gotta get back to how you feeling now when you finish with the 10th worst record in the NBA? Because I don't know if you'll catch the Spurs. The Spurs can't beat anybody.
No.
It's just going to be a really interesting season going into the draft season. You want to continue to see the growth from these young guys. I'd love to see Donovan do this for like 3 games in a row, by the way.
Yeah, give me a stretch here. Give me an extended good run of play.
But now we're into March Madness, so now we're going to start seeing the prospects that are going to be at the top of this draft. There's going to be some really good players, and we're going to find ourselves going, oh, we're the 10th best odds team to get the number 1 pick. It's 3% chance, and to get the top 5, you have what? A 6. I don't even know what the percentage is.
Right now, they have the 10th worst record in the NBA.
Yep.
They are slightly ahead of or behind, depending how you look at it, the Miami Heat.
The Heat also, by the way,
are
sinking like a stone. They lost to the Hornets last night.
They did. The Blazers have a 3% chance of the number 1 overall pick.
What do they have for 2?
3.3% chance for the number 2 pick.
Well, I guess it's top 3 of the
3.6% chance for the number 3 pick, and a 4% chance for the number 4 pick.
And then number 5?
Doesn't even give them odds for number 5.
Okay. So, you want to be in that top 5.
Yes.
The draft says there's going to be 5 guys, and there might be 6 or 7. It could be a super deep draft that ends up proving to have a lot of dudes in it. But, yeah, when your playoff hopes disappear because you can't quite catch some of these other teams, it's nice to have the young players playing well, but that's when you start to get to we're in the draft and our odds are not very good.
That'll keep
Should have had the
selling
long-term
tickets.
vision in mind the entire time. If only anybody had been arguing that.
The coach isn't going to coach that way, though.
That's part of the problem.
But if the organization would set it up to actually happen that way instead of put a lame duck coach out there who's trying to save his own ass, what do you do? We've had this conversation.
We all yelled this last summer. We did this.
We're literally going to be
fascinated to see if they end up.
We all yelled this last summer. We all said that.
We're going to be going into this offseason. There's going to be fans that still want to be like, you know what, this young core is exciting. And I think, in 2-3 years, they're going to be in the top 4 in the Western Conference when you look
that would be lying
on
to yourself.
But there
You'd be
are so many Pacific Northwest fans that do that. I look at the Hornets, for instance. Would I rather have Shaden and Scoot, or would I rather have Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball? Easy. I'd rather have Brandon and LaMelo. And in Portland, if
LaMelo doesn't even want to be in Charlotte.
Exactly. I don't care. He still can get a triple-double for you a game.
He's an
whereas
all-star,
Scoot
at least.
Henderson is still kind of trying to.
He wasn't an all-star?
No.
Oh, I thought he was an all-star.
He didn't win the starting thing, and coaches weren't going to vote him in because his stats are hollow.
No, I know Scoot's still young, but we're still looking at him developing. I literally watched him trying to throw passes out to nobody. I mean, when you're seeing Scoot not looking...
Well, you're a Scoot hater.
It's not that I'm a Scoot hater. The people next to me were sitting there like... Take him out. Oh, my God. He literally went down to the basket, didn't shoot, just threw it to the side. It was like, oh, was that to Chauncey?
But you're also a Scoot hater. What was the... That was your take when they drafted him. He's not going to be good.
And he's had some great games off the bench this year. He's had some scoring performances, but have they been consistent? No.
I'm fascinated at the team building thing of sports. We're talking about franchises in the NFL that don't have a chance. Like, football is kind of more so than basketball, and I would even argue baseball. Fall hopes spring eternal for football because of the amount of turnover per playoff team.
Yeah.
And if you ride the heater, maybe you get to a divisional round.
Well, our boss is a Giants fan, and he's excited about their future prospects.
You never know who's going to make the leap from one year to the next. But basketball is very different. And so, like, if they end up where they're projected in the lottery,
yes,
if they're 10th,
they have a 66% chance to get the 10th overall pick in the draft.
I'm fascinated. And I whether that's a good or bad thing, there's going to be a lot of, like, that's a bad thing. I'm so interested of what they do because I don't know if they have any wiggle room to move up. What team ahead of them would want
to trade out of those picks? Nobody is.
I mean, there's a lot of players in this draft that people really like their potential.
The teams ahead of you are Chicago, who is tanking. They desperately need a star. San Antonio needs another young player to pair with Wemby. Unless they try and make an all-in move to go get a guy, but they're not. Portland doesn't have anything I think that San Antonio wants in the short term. They just drafted a point guard, so Anthony Simons is out the board for them. Brooklyn's at 7. They're not trading that pick. Philly's at 6. What's Philly going to do? They desperately need that pick.
Well,
and they might not even keep
of the top 6. That goes to Oklahoma City.
It goes to Oklahoma City. So maybe Oklahoma City's the team that wants to trade, but then what the hell do they need that you have? They don't need anything that you have. Toronto 5, New Orleans 4, Charlotte 3, Utah 2, Washington 1. None of those teams are trading.
None of the top end teams are going to be trading you if they end up in those spots.
So the odds right now will tell you that they essentially have about a 12% chance at a top 4 pick, which is where you're looking. If they had just finished let's say where Philadelphia is currently with the 6th worst record in the NBA, so they were never going to be bottom 3 with the way the year started. Washington, Utah, and Charlotte have been kind of on another level in their own wavelength, tank-wise this year.
Has really cranked up.
It's horrible. Philly, for example, with the 6th worst record in the NBA, has, I want to say, about a 36% chance at a top 4 pick. That's the difference.
Imagine if Philly wins the lottery.
They have an 8.3% chance to win the lottery.
Like Cooper Flagg with Embiid.
They would say, all right, we don't need to change anything. Let's run it back, bring him in as a guy on a rookie scale deal. We got these other vets around him. He fits what we're trying to do.
If I was to fix the draft, little frozen envelope, I might be tempted to give Philly that Cooper Flagg thing.
If he could go anywhere in the top 6, obviously Portland would be ideal at 3%, but it's not going to happen.
Oh, sure.
Don't let it be San Antonio for the love of God. Utah, no. Nobody wants him in Utah. Charlotte is one of the most irrelevant teams in all of sports.
Cooper Flagg in Utah.
They do, but nobody else wants him in Utah.
The Storm and Mormons.
The Storm and Mormon want him there. We already did one Duke Star to New Orleans. Don't let it happen again.
No,
that didn't work out. Nobody wants him in Toronto. They're not even the North, but they claim the North.
Toronto's a good market to have a good team.
Yeah, is it?
I'm just talking from a league standpoint.
Yeah.
You don't think Toronto's a good city
to
have a good
team?
team?
I'm okay with them having a good team. It doesn't do anything for me if Toronto's good.
But you're talking
Am I
from
more
a fan
excited about the
standpoint.
NBA if Toronto's good?
I'm talking from a league standpoint. They would rather have him in Toronto than Charlotte.
Nah, send him to Washington. Send him to Chocolate City.
Yeah.
That's where the Great White Hope's got to go. That's the only way that this can work out.
Him and Sar would be a fun little tandem.
It'd be a nice little tandem right there. So the Blazers lose again last night. That's 4 in a row. Their tough schedule continues, although Brunson is out of the lineup.
Do they crank up a tank?
They should. I mean, it would be ridiculously dumb not to at this point. You let it run out. You gave it a chance. You're 5 games back with 16 to go. So just play the math. Like, Dallas is not going to finish the season strong.
You're only a half game ahead of the Spurs in the standings, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, and you're still 2.5 games behind Phoenix. So you got to jump Phoenix and you got to jump Dallas.
Oh, no, I'm talking about in the tank.
And the overall
playoff thing is
tank,
over,
sure.
They're 25 and a
So
half.
to answer your question, though, yes, I would shut down anybody with a pulse at this point. Denny Avdia, thank you. Great year, cheap contract. See you next year, buddy.
You
Kamara,
get cheaper next year.
you played enough games to be an all defense. Is Kamara hit his game total to be an all defensive guy?
I think he has.
He hasn't missed much.
He hasn't missed much time. Seems like he's been relatively healthy. Thank you for your services.
Well,
We'll see you next year.
No. You can't sit Kamara.
Why not?
Shaden, Scoot, Kamara,
Why can't you sit
Donovan.
Kamara?
You can't sit them
Why?
because I want them to keep playing.
Why?
To keep playing? To
There's
be
16
better?
games to go. Are we going to grow and learn anything in the
Are
final
we gonna
16
win
games?
if Ant shut down? If we're playing DWAP?
I mean,
are we going to win with those guys?
No, I wouldn't think
what
so.
does it matter? Why not?
I would
play
do
them?
everything I possibly can. You technically could still catch Chicago, San Antonio in the overall standings.
So you go down to a 2% instead of a 3%?
Which would give you from a 3% chance
percentages
to
matter,
a
though.
6% chance to get the number 1 overall pick. San Antonio, who was 2 games better than, or a half game better than you in the standings, 8th worst in the league, their odds at a top 4 pick in the NBA draft are, I want to say, 25 or 26%. Yours are 12. I will take that extra 12%.
I don't think you're winning. My point is, I don't think you're winning.
You're
games
probably not, but I'm not
if
risking
Tamani and
anything,
Shaden
buddy.
and Scoot are
I'm not
starting and
risking
playing.
anything at this point.
Yeah, okay.
Give me Duop, Reith in the starting lineup.
WAP.
Give me the who's the Repair.
McGowan's.
Give me Repair. I want Repair in the starting lineup.
Put Chris Murray
Bryce
in there.
McGowan's. Give me Chris Murray.
He
He's still on the
sucks.
roster. He could play.
What are the injuries they have to
Throw
fix,
Matisse Thybulle in there. He's back, right? I heard he's back on the team. So
He
let's
might play
put
in the
his
G
ass
League.
out there and let him play.
Quick fun fact about Chris Murray. Remember, he was on the Blazers draft board as a first-round pick, and they were so excited
him
when he
23rd.
felt. Was really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was a
That was the
first-round
Scoot
pick.
draft.
That was the year
Oh, yeah,
where
that
they
was
were
the
going to
Scoot
trade
draft.
both first-round picks to go so all in. It
Oh
was
yeah,
gonna
so
hurt.
all in it was an embarrassment. So it's
Yeah.
another 23rd pick that's basically just wasted into oblivion.
He's young.
Oh, stop it. Yeah, so was Luke Babbitt forever. Come on,
High
man.
socks. Oh man.
God,
Wear
the
high
Blazers
socks.
and guys like Luke Babbitt, Nolan
That was a low
Smith,
blow there, Schultz.
and these 20th overall picks. Oh,
Who's
this is going to
better?
be the next great piece.
I just look. I get the Cronin thing at the deadline of we owe these guys the right to fight for a play. It's done. You're
Well,
not
you
going to
gave
make the
them their
playoffs.
chance,
You gave them
yeah.
the chance. Pull the plug.
But they're not
I have
going
been
to.
told for 2 months that they're going to shut the water off. The water is still flowing.
Well, they're not though. They're losing now.
They're losing because the schedule's hard. Not every game's going to be hard. There are winnable games remaining on their schedule. Are you aware of this?
Yeah, but you're not going to. Are you going to be able to out tank? I think they have Washington
Just 2
remaining.
teams. Just 2 teams. Give me 2 teams that you got to jump. That's it. That's all I'm asking for. Can you stay ahead of or behind, depending how you want to define it, Chicago and San Antonio? That is how you successfully end your regular season at this point.
You're not going to out tank Washington no matter who you play.
No, that's fine.
You're not going to out tank Toronto.
You're not going to lose all 16 games. I'm not asking you to. But can you go 3-13?
You're not going to out tank Utah.
You can go 3-13. It's doable.
I had a
Dare to
listener ask
dream.
why you're always miserable.
Because
I
I
don't
want
know.
nice things. That's why I'm
We
miserable.
don't get nice things.
Well, maybe we should get nice things if we operated correctly.